There comes a moment in every chosen one's journey when the weight of pain becomes louder than hope, when the whispers of the world echo harder than the promises of God. You know that moment when you stood in the aftermath of heartbreak, disappointment, and delayed dreams, and it felt as though life had singled you out for suffering. And this is where your story begins, not in the glory, not in the arrival of the promise, but in the sting of rejection, the loneliness that carved your spirit, and the mockery of those who assumed your story was over. Because before divine love comes, the chosen must first walk through a season where the world misunderstands, underestimates, and mislabels them. It is here that we address the opening declaration of pain and mockery. For you did not imagine the cruelty, the judgment, the ridicule. People laughed at your downfall as though your heartache were entertainment. They pointed at your wounds as if they proved you were unworthy of real love. They spoke as though their words were final, as though they had authority over your destiny. Some observed your struggles and concluded you were unlovable. Others looked at your prolonged loneliness and whispered that you were destined to remain unseen, unheard, and alone. They did not know God was watching everything they said. They did not know heaven was writing a response. And while they mocked your dreams, heaven collected your tears. While they questioned your worth, God preserved your heart. And while they tried to bury your hope, God was preparing to resurrect it. This leads us into God's perspective over human judgment, a reminder that what people saw as ruins was never the end of the story. For where people saw ashes, God saw the beginning of beauty. Isaiah 61:3 stands timeless as heaven's declaration over your life, that God gives beauty for ashes, joy for mourning, and praise for heaviness. The seasons that broke you did not escape his attention. Your silent nights, your unanswered questions, your trembling prayers, they were all witnessed and they were all counted. God never saw you as forgotten. He never saw you as unlovable. He never saw you as unworthy. What others misinterpreted as the collapse of your story, God recognized as the breaking open of a destiny aligned with his plan. So, do not be surprised that your path looked different. Do not be surprised that love took longer to reach you. Heaven was not delaying you, it was protecting you, because before God sends the one made for you, he removes anything that would destroy you. As we transition into the shift toward divine purpose, understand this truth: rejection was never destruction. It was divine redirection. Every door that closed protected you from someone who could not carry your heart. Every heartbreak was a shield. Every separation was a surgery. Every silence was preparation. Your loneliness was not abandonment. It was a cocoon where God hid you while he shaped you. He needed you away from noise, away from counterfeit connections, away from those who only wanted a fraction of you, while God was preparing someone who could love all of you. You were not being punished. You were being positioned. Now, as you step into this message, take this as a personal invitation into alignment, into clarity, into hope reborn. There is a reason you found these words today. There is a reason your spirit is stirring. There is a reason your heart feels like it's waking up after a long sleep. This is not just another teaching. This is a divine announcement. This is a prophecy being confirmed. So, I invite you to remain until the closing prayer. For what begins as understanding will end in activation. What begins as insight will end in release. And what begins with reading will end with transformation. When the moment comes, declare Amen as your sign of readiness, your declaration of awakening, your agreement with heaven's timing. Because, beloved chosen one, divine love is coming. God is sending the one made for you, long before your heart ever broke, long before the whispers began, long before people formed opinions about your worth or your destiny. Heaven had already seen the fullness of who you are. Heaven saw the calling wrapped inside your spirit, the purity in your intentions, the depth of your capacity to love, and the quiet resilience you carried even when no one acknowledged it. So while people judged the surface, heaven witnessed the substance. This is why, when their mockery clashed with God's vision, The two realities were never equal. People saw your scars and assumed they defined you. Heaven saw your scars and declared them evidence of survival. People saw your moments of weakness and labeled you fragile. God saw those same moments as the fire that refined you into something unbreakable. This contrast between human eyes and divine sight is the reason your story has always been misunderstood. People interpreted your seasons of silence as emptiness, but God interpreted them as preparation. They measured your worth by what you lost, but God measured it by what you endured. They saw the chapters you were stuck in. God saw the book they could not comprehend, and that is when your rejection became your alignment. Those who turned their backs on you were never meant to walk into the fullness of your future. Their departure, though painful, was divine intervention. It was God clearing the pathway for the one who could love you the way heaven intended. You were not abandoned, you were protected. You were not overlooked, you were reserved. Psalm 56:8 tells us that God keeps record of every tear you shed. Not one fell unnoticed, not one was wasted. Every tear had a purpose. Every tear was a thread in the tapestry of your transformation. He collected them because he planned to redeem them. He remembered them because he planned to restore what you thought was forever lost. And even when the enemy tried to use heartbreak, delay, and loneliness as weapons against you, Isaiah 54:17 remained your silent truth. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. They formed, but they did not win. They attacked, but they did not destroy you. You are still standing because heaven was shielding you even when you didn't realize it. This leads us into the deeper revelation that the divine timing of your love story has always been intentional. Nothing was delayed without purpose. Nothing was withheld without reason. Nothing was taken without God preparing something greater in return. While you were wondering if love would ever find you, heaven was aligning the heart, the path, and the spirit of the one designed to walk beside you. The kind of love God is sending is not accidental. It is not rushed. It is not shallow. It is crafted, chosen, and sealed. Mark 10:9 declares, "What God joins together, no one can separate." That means your future relationship is not built on convenience. It is built on covenant, not on timing you can control, but on divine orchestration. Not on human approval, but on heaven's stamp. You were not waiting for love. Love was being prepared for you. A heart that matches yours, a soul that recognizes yours, a love that does not tremble at your depth but rises to meet it. And when God finally reveals this person, you will understand why others could not stay, why certain connections never blossomed, and why some relationships collapsed under the weight of mismatched destiny. God was not depriving you. He was preserving you. Heaven saw what they could not. Heaven knew what they never understood. Heaven valued what they dismissed. This is why your story is not late. This is why your heart is not forgotten. This is why your love is not denied. Because the moment God says, "Now," everything that broke you becomes the foundation of everything that blesses you. You are not behind. You are being aligned. And heaven is preparing to prove it. Before you ever understood your own worth, before you ever realized how intentionally heaven was shaping your story, God had already decided that human rejection would not define your identity. When people dismissed you, overlooked you, or treated you as if you were not enough, heaven did not echo their judgment. Instead, heaven whispered a truth that few could see. Your value was never dependent on who accepted you, but on who created you. This is why 1 Samuel 16:7 reminds us, "Man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart." People saw the surface of your life, the struggles, the hurt, the tears, but God saw the strength, the resilience, and the calling that was being built inside of you. Your story reflects the journey of Joseph, who was betrayed, falsely accused, abandoned, and forgotten, but only by people. Heaven never forgot him. What looked like rejection was actually direction. What felt like punishment was actually positioning. In the same way Joseph said in Genesis 50:20, You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good. Your past betrayals were never the end. They were the beginning of the path toward your breakthrough. And this is why your rejection became sacred soil. Every insult planted humility. Every closed door planted discernment. Every heartbreak planted spiritual strength. Every season of being unseen planted the capacity to love deeply and wisely. Nothing was wasted. Not one moment. Not one setback. Not one tear. In fact, even in your lowest moments, Jeremiah 31:3 was echoing through the heavens. I have loved you with an everlasting love. God never withdrew his affection from you. Not when others misjudged you. Not when your heart broke. Not when your spirit felt crushed. You were loved in your rising, and you were loved in your falling. You were loved in your confidence, and you were loved in your confusion. And because you are loved, God allowed you to walk through a refining process that many never survive. Zechariah 13:9 describes this purification. I will refine them like silver and test them like gold. Gold is not perfected through comfort, it is perfected through fire. And although the fire you endured was painful, it did not destroy you. It shaped you. It increased your wisdom. It sharpened your vision. It purified your spirit. It prepared your heart so that when divine love arrives, you can recognize it instantly and protect it fiercely. Then, slowly, through every difficult chapter, you began to understand that God was shaping you like a master craftsman. This is why your journey mirrors the revelation. In Romans 9:21, you are a vessel of honor. God was molding you, stretching you, reshaping you in his hands. Every season of loneliness was a remolding. Every disappointment was a reshaping. Every heartache was a refining touch. Your life has never been random. It has been carefully, lovingly crafted. And perhaps the most beautiful metaphor for your transformation is found in the ancient Japanese art of kintsugi, where broken pottery is restored, not by hiding the cracks, but by filling them with gold. The brokenness does not make the vessel less valuable, it makes it priceless. The cracks become proof of survival, courage, and resilience. The gold lines become symbols of mastery and purpose. Your heart is the same. Your journey is the same. Your story is the same. You were not broken to stay broken. You were broken so that God could rebuild you with glory running through the very places that once hurt the most. The parts of you that were shattered are the very parts God is transforming into your strength, your beauty, and your testimony. So yes, rejection hurt. Yes, betrayal stung. Yes, loneliness was heavy. But heaven was using every piece of it to prepare you for the love that is coming, the kind of love you cannot lose, the kind of love that mirrors God's own heart. You were not rejected, you were refined. You were not abandoned, you were being aligned. You were not destroyed, you were being rebuilt into someone powerful enough to receive the divine love heaven has already chosen for you. Your training is complete, and love is on its way. Long before you ever imagined love that heals instead of harms, long before you ever dreamed of a relationship built on trust, purpose, and divine alignment, your future love was already appointed in heaven. What others mocked, dismissed, or belittled was never theirs to understand, because what God ordains cannot be measured by human perception. What they called unrealistic, God called predestined. What they labeled fantasy, heaven named promise. People laughed because they saw only the present version of your life, not the divine orchestration unfolding behind the scenes. They saw your loneliness but not your preparation. They saw your heartbreak but not your rebuilding. They saw your waiting but not the heavenly choreography, aligning two souls step by step, moment by moment. But while the world doubted, God was redeeming, restoring, and rebuilding. He was softening your heart, healing your wounds, renewing your hope, and preparing two journeys to converge in His perfect timing. Heaven was shaping a love that carries your destiny inside it, a love that strengthens your calling instead of silencing it, a love that awakens your purpose instead of distracting you from it. And so you began to understand that every closed door was making room for the right one. Not one relationship that faded away was a mistake. Not one person who walked out was truly meant to stay. Every no you encountered was a divine safeguard, protecting your heart from lesser paths and counterfeit connections. This truth echoes through Psalm 118:22. The stone the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. You were rejected by the wrong people, so you could be elevated by the right one. The love that once seemed impossible will soon become the foundation stone, solid, intentional, and heaven-sent of your next chapter. What others cast aside will become the very thing God uses to demonstrate His faithfulness. What the world called foolishness, your patience, your standards, your desire for a love aligned with God, was actually wisdom in disguise. While others rushed into chaos, you waited for clarity. While others settled, you preserved your heart. While others mocked, you remained steadfast. This is why 1 Corinthians 3:19 says, "The wisdom of this world is foolishness in God's sight. To the world, waiting looks weak. To heaven, waiting is strength. To people, patience looks naive. To God, patience is preparation." And your journey mirrors Noah's story, building the ark under clear skies. Noah constructed something no one understood because he was obeying a divine instruction no one else could hear. The same happened with your heart. You healed when no one apologized. You prepared even when love seemed far away. You believed even when others doubted your worth. You trusted God even when your life didn't yet reflect the promise. Like Noah, you built in silence. Like Noah, you trusted without evidence. Like Noah, you endured ridicule while following the voice of God. And because of that obedience, because of that faith, because of that resilience, you are stepping into a season where heaven honors your endurance. The love they mocked, the love they said you would never experience, the love they claimed wasn't meant for you. That love is coming, and it is ordained, and it is protected, and it is purposed. The one heaven has prepared for you will see what others overlooked. They will love what others judged. They will cherish what others mishandled. They will honor what others mocked. This is why your story is not ending in loneliness. This is why your heart was not left empty. This is why your patience was not in vain. God was waiting for the right moment to reveal what He has been building behind the curtain of heartbreak and silence. And when this love arrives, you will understand every tear was training. Every ending was alignment. Every delay was divine. Every no was making space for heaven's yes. Your ordained love is real. It is written, it is sealed, and it is coming. What looked like the end to others was only the beginning to God, because your ruins were never signs of defeat. They were birthplaces of revival. People saw destruction, but heaven saw preparation. They saw collapse. God saw construction. They saw ashes. God saw the foundation for something only He could build. Even when heartbreak left you feeling emptied, abandoned, and forgotten, God was already positioning Himself as your restorer, standing as the light in every shadow and the fire in every cold season. Just as Micah 7:8 declares, "Though I fall, I will rise. Though I sit in darkness, the Lord will be my light." Every moment you cried alone, every disappointment that stole your breath, every betrayal that left you questioning your worth, none of it was wasted. Heaven collected each tear, and God used them as seeds for your future restoration. This is the same God who turned Job's disasters into a double portion of blessing. For Job 42:10 tells us, "The Lord restored Job's losses and gave him twice as much as he had before." The God of restoration is not intimidated by ruins. He specializes in rebuilding what others thought was beyond repair. And this is why the power of rising from the ashes is one of the greatest testimonies heaven is writing through your life. What the enemy intended to bury you became the very soil where your strength took root. What was meant to silence you gave you a voice. What was meant to break you became the birthplace of your purpose. Your story is becoming a testimony of divine resurrection, a living reminder that nothing surrendered to God remains dead. The parts of you that were shattered are being crafted into a testimony that will not only heal others, but elevate you into a deeper level of purpose and clarity. The devastation you thought would destroy you is becoming the very narrative heaven will use to reveal His glory through your life. God always pulls greatness from the ground. The enemy tried to poison, He always brings beauty out of devastation. And here is a deeper truth. The mockery you endured was a sign of spiritual threat. The enemy does not attack what does not matter. He does not mock what does not carry power. He does not target what has no potential. You were laughed at because the enemy saw what the world couldn't. Your anointing, the whispers behind your back, the jeers, the doubts, the cruel jokes about your worth or your loneliness were spiritual indicators that your presence carries weight in the spirit realm. This aligns perfectly with 1 Corinthians 1:27, which says, God chooses the foolish things of the world to shame the wise. You were underestimated on purpose. You were overlooked by design. You were mocked so that God's elevation over your life would be undeniable. Even your waiting was prophetic. Your perceived delays were divine barriers protecting what God was crafting behind the scenes. And just like Sarah, who laughed in disbelief when God promised her a miracle, your initial doubt will break into a laughter of joy. Genesis 18. What once seemed impossible will soon become your reality. Her story teaches us that God never forgets a promise, even when she felt too old, too late, too disappointed. God still fulfilled what He had spoken, and He will do the same for you. Where others left you in pieces, God is rebuilding you into a masterpiece. Where others abandoned you, God is establishing you. Where others mocked, God is magnifying. Where others left ruins, God is raising revival. Your comeback is not just personal, it is spiritual. Your restoration is not quiet, it is divine. And your love story will be one of the greatest proofs that God rebuilds what people walked away from. And now, and faction, chosen one. As you stand at this point of your journey, you are invited to understand one of the greatest mysteries of your life. Your pain was never punishment, it was preparation. Every tear, every heartbreak, every silent night where you asked God, why me, was not wasted. Heaven was shaping you in ways you could not yet comprehend. Pain as the refining fire that formed you. To begin, you must see your pain not as meaningless suffering, but as the refining fire through which God shaped the warrior inside you. This was never about cruelty, it was about capacity. Just as gold must pass through fire to reveal its purity, so too did you pass through trials to uncover your strength, depth, and spiritual clarity. Life did not break you, it revealed you. God never allowed the fire to consume you, only to refine you. He did not let the waters drown you, only cleanse you. When you cried for deliverance, heaven was building endurance. When you begged for the storm to end, heaven was strengthening your roots. And when the world thought you were crumbling, heaven saw you becoming unshakable. This is why Romans 8:18 speaks directly to your story. The glory that is coming will far outweigh the suffering you endured. Your present pain cannot be compared to the future joy God is preparing for you. If the suffering was heavy, it is because the blessing is greater. If the season was long, it is because the harvest will be abundant. From the darkness of pain comes the light of discernment. And then, as you journeyed through the wilderness of emotional wounds and disappointments, something divine began to awaken in you: discernment. This is the second purpose behind your pain. It taught you what your spirit could not learn in comfort. Your experiences sharpened your vision. You learned to identify counterfeit love, not by appearance, but by energy, by spiritual alignment. No longer can flattery deceive you. No longer can sweet words mask empty intentions. You learned the difference between someone who desires you and someone who values you, between someone who wants your presence and someone who honors your soul. The tears you cried did not fall in vain. They became seeds that grew into resilience. Every disappointment trained your intuition. Every betrayal opened your spiritual eyes a little wider. Every heartbreak purified your understanding of love. pain made you wise, pain made you deep, pain made you see. God allowed certain people to hurt you, not to break you, but to reveal who never deserved to walk with you into your destiny. Your tears washed away illusions, your heartbreak detoxed your soul, your seasons of loneliness emptied you of things that were never meant to stay, so that God could fill you with what truly aligns. Your suffering was preparing you for a love that is divine. And finally, chosen one, here lies the ultimate purpose of your pain. Your suffering was preparing you to carry the weight of true, divine love. The love God is sending you is not fragile, shallow, or temporary. It is a covenant love, a kingdom love, a love that reflects God's heart. This is why your journey has been long, because heaven was crafting a partner of equal depth. You were not being punished, you were being prepared. God needed to expand your heart to receive a love that will not run, betray, or fear your calling, a love that will pray with you, build with you, dream with you, and stand with you. He had to train you to recognize real love, so you would not sabotage the blessing when it arrives. You had to live through what love is not, so you would honor what love truly is. The refinement taught you patience, the heartbreak taught you forgiveness, the loneliness taught you self-worth, the waiting taught you faith. And now, after all you have walked through, you are no longer the fragile soul you once were. You are the spiritually awakened, emotionally fortified, divinely aligned version of yourself, ready for the love God has ordained. Your pain was not the end of you. It was the preparation for the greatest chapter of your life. Chosen one, now comes the revelation that shifts everything. Your love story is not being decided by the opinions of people, by the fears of your past, or by the delays you've endured. It is being decided by God Himself. And when heaven has placed its approval upon something, no rejection, no obstacle, no human voice can overturn what the Father has already sealed. Heaven's approval overrules every human rejection. To understand this truth, you must first see that heaven's approval over your love story overrules every human rejection you have ever faced. The heartbreaks of your past did not disqualify you, they positioned you. The people who walked away, the ones who underestimated your worth, the ones who failed to see the treasure inside you, none of them had the authority to rewrite what God has spoken over your life. Romans 8:31 declares, "If God is for you, who can be against you?" This is not a poetic verse, it is a spiritual law. It means that the opinions of others cannot cancel the plans of God. It means every rejection was redirection. It means every door that closed was heaven saying, "Not this one, I have something better." Some of the people you wanted were not part of your destiny. Some of the relationships you prayed for would have destroyed your purpose. Some of the desires you once had were too small for the magnitude of your calling. And Isaiah 55:11 reminds you that God's word cannot return void. That means, if God has spoken blessings, alignment, union, and destiny over your life, those words must manifest. They cannot disappear, they cannot weaken, they cannot be overridden by the fears of your heart or the failures of your past. God's approval stands, heaven's decree is final, and your love story is already marked with divine intention. Divine favor is the governing force of your story. As you move deeper into this revelation, you begin to realize that divine favor has been governing your story long before you understood the assignment of your soul. God does not write rushed stories. He writes eternal ones. He does not give you love that crumbles under pressure. He prepares love that thrives under purpose. And because of that, His timing is never random, it is strategic. Every season you waited was a season. Heaven used to align the right person, the right moment, the right spiritual maturity. You were not being overlooked, you were being prepared. God was working behind the scenes while you were wondering if He was silent. He was drawing two lives closer, two callings into harmony, two destinies into a single path. Your relationship, the one He has chosen for you, is part of a larger divine plan. This is why it couldn't happen earlier. This is why certain people couldn't stay. This is why your heart had to heal first. This is why your purpose awakened before your partnership arrived. God needed you to stand in your identity, not your insecurity. He needed you to recognize your worth so you could choose from confidence instead of loneliness. He needed you to discern spiritually so you could select alignment instead of attachment. Your love story is not ordinary, it is kingdom designed. It is the kind of union that shakes atmospheres. It is the kind of partnership that births purpose. It is the kind of love that becomes a testimony to others who are losing hope. God is aligning you with someone who does not just fit in your life, but fits in your calling, someone who honors your spirit, someone who recognizes your anointing, someone who doesn't run away from your depth, but rises to meet it. This is why divine favor has been surrounding your journey, even when you could not see it. Favor protected you from wrong people. Favor hid you from those who would have drained you. Favor kept you single in seasons where your loneliness could have led you into dangerous connections. Favor shielded your heart so that the right person would find you whole, not broken. Your love story has already been stamped with heaven's seal. And now, chosen one, the time is drawing near, when God will reveal the one He has prepared. You will not have to force it. You will not have to beg for clarity. You will not have to shrink yourself to be loved. Because what God approves cannot be denied. What He blesses cannot be stolen. What He joins together cannot be undone. Your love story is God-authored, heaven-backed, and destiny-aligned, and this time it will not disappoint you. When God writes the love story, it always ends in glory. As you step further into this divine revelation of love and destiny, there comes a moment when heaven demands clarity. The enemy's lies over your identity, worth, and future have been shattered. What once echoed in your mind as truth was nothing more than spiritual interference, a desperate attempt to keep you from recognizing the magnitude of what God has ordained for you. And now, with your spirit awakening, those chains can no longer hold. The enemy's strategies were always rooted in lies meant to block you from seeing your true worth. For the longest time, the enemy used subtle but persistent tactics to weaken your heart. He whispered lies that said you were unworthy, unlovable, too broken, too late, too flawed. He tried to convince you that your mistakes defined you, that your past disqualified you, that love was for others but not for you. Those whispers often sounded like your own thoughts, your own fears, or even the cruel voices of people around you. But John 8:44 exposes the truth. When he lies, he speaks his native language, for he is a liar and the father of lies. The enemy targeted your identity because he feared your destiny. He attacked your heart because he feared your future union. He fed you false narratives because he saw the real story God was writing. Every lie he planted was designed to distract you from the truth. Heaven has always known. You were chosen long before you were wounded, called long before you felt lost, and loved long before you felt forgotten. But now God's truth confronts and destroys every lie that ever tried to limit you. As your spiritual sight sharpens, you begin to see the brilliance of God's truth shining through the shadows that once held you captive. Every false belief you carried is being replaced by divine revelation. Isaiah 49:16 declares, "I have engraved you on the palms of my hands." This means you were never forgotten, never overlooked, never abandoned. Your value was never up for debate in heaven. When God engraved you, He established your identity as permanent. When He chose you, He sealed your worth forever. When He called you beloved, He meant it for eternity. Every tear you cried became evidence of your resilience. Every heartbreak became training for discernment. Every rejection prepared your heart to receive a supernatural love. You must see this now. You were always chosen. Even when you felt discarded, you were always loved. Even when you felt invisible, you were always held. Even when you felt alone. The truth is not new, it is eternal. Your eyes are simply awakening to what heaven has always known. And the love that is coming into your life will break every remaining lie the enemy tried to build. Soon, you will witness the kind of love that carries the fingerprint of God, a love so intentional, so gentle, so aligned with your soul's calling that it exposes every past lie as powerless. This relationship will not just feel like healing, it will be healing. The love God is sending will show you, asterisk, that you are always worthy of tenderness, asterisk, that you were never too broken to be chosen, asterisk, that you were never too complicated to be understood, asterisk, that you were never too much. You were simply waiting for someone with the capacity to love your depth. Your future partner will not validate you. God already did that. Instead, they will confirm what God has been whispering all along. You are loved, you are valuable, you are chosen, you are mine. This relationship will become living proof of God's truth, a visible manifestation of His promises, a testimony that no lie from hell could hold you down. It will reveal how every heartbreak was preparing you, how every delay was protecting you, and how every spiritual attack was a sign of the greatness tied to your destiny. The enemy's lies crumble when faced with God's fulfillment. Your future love will silence every fear you once carried. It will break every false belief you once agreed with. It will drown out every voice that once told you you were unworthy. Because when God writes your story, the ending always exposes the enemy as a liar and you as victorious. There comes a moment in every chosen one's journey when the meaning of waiting reveals itself, not as punishment, not as delay, not as silence from heaven, but as something far more powerful. Your waiting was not a sign of weakness, it was warfare, a spiritual stance against the forces that tried to break you. While others mistook your stillness for stagnation, heaven called it strength. The spiritual power of waiting becomes undeniable when you understand that waiting is never passive in the kingdom of God. Isaiah 40:31 declares, "They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength." Notice the verse does not say, "those who rush" or "those who panic," but "those who wait." In heaven's language, waiting is a position of power. It means your spirit stayed anchored, even when everything around you looked uncertain. It means you chose faith over fear, surrender over striving, trust over desperation. You weren't waiting because nothing was happening. You were waiting because God was working. Waiting rebuilt your spiritual muscles. Waiting sharpened your discernment. Waiting kept you aligned with God's timing instead of human pressure. You didn't fold under loneliness. You didn't drown in disappointment. You learned to breathe in the silence and hear the whisper of God. That is not weakness, that is warfare. And every act of waiting became a spiritual weapon that pushed back against darkness, whether you realized it or not. The truth is that the enemy hates patient believers. Impatient hearts are easy to manipulate, but hearts that wait, hearts that rest in God's promise, those become dangerous without knowing it. Your patience became resistance. Every time you said, "I will not settle, I will not rush, I will not force what is not from God," you were fighting back. Darkness wanted you to break. Hell wanted you to choose counterfeit love. The enemy wanted you so discouraged that you would surrender your destiny for temporary comfort. But you didn't. You waited, and that made you spiritually unshakable. In every moment you held on to hope, heaven took note. In every tear you cried instead of running back to the wrong people, heaven intervened. In every lonely night where you still whispered, "God, I trust you," heaven moved closer. Your waiting wasn't empty. It was warfare. It was an act of reclaiming your heart, your standards, your destiny. It was you standing your ground while God fought battles you couldn't see. And now, in the shift of seasons, your waiting has finally given birth to fulfillment. Every waiting season has an appointed ending. Not one moment was wasted. Not one tear was meaningless. Everything you endured has carried you into a divine transition. The moment when God takes what felt like delay and reveals it as preparation. There is a holy shift happening around you. The winds are changing. The atmosphere is different. Your spirit can feel it, even if your eyes haven't seen it fully yet. Where there was silence, there is now divine activity. Where there was longing, there is now alignment. Where there was delay, there is now release. The season of waiting is closing. The season of fulfillment is beginning. This is why your spirit feels lighter lately. This is why clarity is returning. This is why your heart feels safer, stronger, and more rooted. You are not stepping into love from a place of desperation, but from a place of victory. You are not entering this next chapter wounded, but refined. You are not walking into this connection unsure. You are entering with spiritual authority. The waiting has accomplished its purpose. The war has been fought. The victory is unfolding, because when a chosen one waits on God, the blessing that follows is not ordinary. It is divine, destined, and unstoppable. There comes a point in every chosen one's journey when heaven itself makes something undeniably clear. No human word, no insult, no opinion, no rumor, and no accusation has the authority to override what God has ordained. And this truth becomes more evident the closer you get to the fulfillment of your promise. The voices that once mocked you are losing their power, not because they stopped speaking, but because God's plan is speaking louder. Their insults were powerless from the very beginning, even though they once felt heavy on your heart. Isaiah 54:17 reminds you, "No weapon formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue that rises against you in judgment you shall condemn." Notice something profound. The verse doesn't say, "Tongues that rise against you might be refuted." It says they will be. Those harsh words that once pierced your soul were never strong enough to derail your destiny. Their insults bounced off a shield you didn't even realize God had placed around you. People spoke from limited vision, but God moved from eternal understanding. They judged from human insecurity, but God acted from divine clarity. Every insult was powerless because God had already written a different ending, and human opinions never had the authority to write your story, because only God does. People tried to narrate your future based on your past. They tried to define your worth through their own brokenness. They tried to assume your destiny while knowing nothing of your calling. They said you were unlovable. God said you were chosen. They said you were forgotten. God said He was preparing you. They said your love story was over. God said it had not yet begun. Humans operate with assumptions. God operates with certainty. Humans look at circumstances. God looks at purpose. Humans speak from ego. God speaks from eternity. That is why their words, no matter how loud, cruel, or repetitive, could never rewrite what was written in heaven long before you were born. Your story belongs to God alone, and what He authors, no human can edit, and the blessing that is coming will silence every doubt, because evidence will always speak louder than arguments. When God moves, He moves in a way that no mouth can deny. The blessing about to enter your life, especially the love that God is sending, will silence every critic, every mocker, every doubter who ever questioned your worth or your future. People said you were hard to love, but your God-ordained partner will love you easily. People said you would end up alone, but heaven says you are being divinely paired. People said you were too broken, but God is sending someone strong enough to love the healed you and the healing you. Your blessing will speak, your joy will speak, your relationship will speak, your transformation will speak, and when it does, every argument against your destiny will fall flat. Not because you defended yourself, not because you fought back, not because you tried to convince anyone, but because the fulfillment of God's promise will be undeniable. Proof. Your life will become the answer. Your blessing will become the testimony. Your love story will become the evidence. The same people who once doubted you will quietly watch God's hand unfold in your life. Some will be humbled. Some will be speechless. Some will even feel convicted for how they treated you. But none of that will matter, because God is moving you into a season where you no longer look back for human validation. You are stepping into the chapter where heaven justifies you, where God vindicates you, where your destiny unfolds openly and boldly. No human word can stop what heaven has spoken. No opinion can stop what God has aligned. No insult can stop what God has blessed. and no voice can silence the plan that was written over you before the foundations of the world. Your story is divine, your love is ordained, your future is unstoppable. There comes a moment in every chosen one's journey when heaven whispers, "Now, after seasons of waiting, weeping, refining, and rising, God brings you into a chapter where the promise is no longer distant. It is here, and the unfolding of this blessing begins with a revelation so profound that it shifts the atmosphere of your entire life. Your love is not random, not forced, not accidental. Your love is a divine union. Your love is a divine union, because what God has joined together, no human hand, no past wound, and no spiritual attack can separate. Matthew 19:6 declares, "What God has joined together, let no one separate." This means your story is not built on coincidence, it is built on covenant. God Himself has orchestrated the alignment, timing, and meeting of two souls designed not only to love each other, but to elevate each other. This is not the kind of love that burns out quickly or fades under pressure. This is not the kind of connection created by loneliness or desperation. This is the kind of union that carries heaven's fingerprints. You will recognize it not by perfection, but by peace. Not by intensity, but by clarity. Not by fear, but by divine assurance. Your love will feel familiar in a holy way, as though your spirits have known each other across seasons of purpose and preparation. This person is not just a partner, they are a destiny link, a divine assignment, a sacred mirror reflecting your God-given identity back to you. And the patience that once felt like punishment is now revealed as preparation, because God is rewarding you the way He rewarded Abraham and Sarah when the set time had fully come. For years, you wondered if you were forgotten. You questioned whether waiting was a mistake. You felt the weight of delay and the sting of watching others receive what you were still praying for. But now, it becomes clear. God was not withholding. He was perfecting. He was strengthening. He was aligning every detail, so that when the promise arrived, it would arrive whole, healthy, ready, and overflowing with purpose. Just like Abraham and Sarah held Isaac after years of waiting, you are stepping into the season where you will hold something, someone that reminds you that God never breaks His word. He may take longer than people expect, but He never arrives late. And when He blesses you, it will not be fragile. It will not be temporary. It will not be built on fear or confusion. It will be built on covenant, maturity, healing, and divine orchestration. Your patience is being honored. Your sacrifices are being multiplied. Your tears have become seeds of breakthrough. And your love story will inspire others, because what God is doing in your life becomes a living testimony of His faithfulness. People who watched you cry will watch you rise. People who doubted you will witness your restoration. People who mocked your hope will see heaven's response. Your story will preach louder than sermons. Your love will shine brighter than explanations. Your breakthrough will encourage others to believe again, hope again, trust again, because your journey was not only about you, it was never just about romance. It was about demonstrating that God keeps His promises, in His time, His way, and for His glory. Your relationship will become a lighthouse for those who feel forgotten. Your union will radiate the message: God still writes beautiful stories. God still honors the faithful. God still restores what was broken. God still brings divine love in perfect timing. And as your promise unfolds, you will realize something sacred. You're not stepping into just a relationship. You are stepping into destiny. You are stepping into a covenant designed before birth. You are stepping into a love that carries heaven's approval and purpose. The promise has arrived, not because you fought for it, not because you chased it, not because you earned it, but because you trusted God long enough for Him to reveal what He had prepared all along. This is your season of divine fulfillment. This is your chapter of holy union. This is the arrival of the love heaven kept for you. And nothing, absolutely nothing, can stop what God has released into your life now. As you stand at destiny's door, you begin to realize that everything was preparation. Every moment of rejection, loneliness, and pain was shaping you for the very place you are stepping into now. Nothing was wasted, not a night of tears, not a moment of confusion, not a season where you felt overlooked or forgotten. God was not punishing you, He was positioning you. Every valley carved humility. Every storm built endurance. Every unanswered question deepened your discernment. And now, as you stand at the threshold of your next season, you see it clearly. The pressure you endured was training for the promise you're about to walk into. And as you embrace this moment, you must understand that victory is already written, because Philippians 1:6 reminds you that the one who began a good work in you will faithfully complete it. Your story is not hanging by a thread. Your promise is not at risk. Heaven has already signed off on your breakthrough. Destiny is not something you're chasing. It's something God has been leading you toward from the beginning. He has gone before you to prepare the way, and He walks behind you to protect every step. The battles that tried to break you only became evidence that something great awaited you. You are not entering this new season hoping to win. You are entering as someone who has already been declared victorious. And because of that victory, you now receive instructions for this new season, divine guidance to ensure you walk in the fullness of what God has prepared for you. In this next chapter, your heart must be lighter, freer, and ready to expand. That is why it begins with a sacred invitation. Release bitterness. Release every residue of the past that tries to cling to your spirit. Let go of old stories that no longer define you. What God is bringing into your life cannot grow in soil poisoned by resentment. Forgiveness is not weakness. It is spiritual strength, emotional liberation, and supernatural alignment. To stay aligned, you must also keep God's voice louder than people's doubts. In your elevation, many opinions will rise, some in admiration, others in misunderstanding, a few in jealousy. Yet none of these voices should dictate your direction. God's whisper carries more power than the loudest crowd. His guidance will steady you, His truth will anchor you, and His presence will guard your peace. In this new atmosphere of favor, you are also called to declare your identity daily. Speak it until you become it. Speak it until your spirit rises. Speak it until your reality aligns. Say what God says about you: chosen, anointed, protected, destined, victorious. The world may try to place labels on you, but God's identity is the one that unlocks destiny. Your words are seeds. Plant them intentionally. And as you rise, you must continue to forgive and grow. Forgiveness will be a recurring door you walk through, not a one-time event. Growth will require shedding old mindsets, stepping out of comfort zones, and trusting God even when the path feels unfamiliar. But you are ready now, more ready than you've ever been. Finally, this new chapter invites you to serve others, not from a place of emptiness, but from the abundance God has placed in you. Your story will heal others. Your breakthrough will inspire others. Your transformation will awaken hope in those who thought they were forgotten. You are not just stepping into destiny for yourself. You are stepping into destiny for every life connected to your obedience. So, walk into this season with hope and courage, knowing that you do not walk alone. Heaven walks with you. Purpose walks before you. Grace walks behind you. And destiny has been waiting for your arrival. You are standing at the door, and God is opening it wide. As you enter this final prayer, you begin by opening your heart fully before God, acknowledging every scar, every hidden wound, every unspoken ache that you once tried to carry alone. This is the moment where you stop pretending to be strong in your own strength and instead surrender every fragile part of your soul into His hands. You tell Him the truth that some seasons broke you, that some experiences left you trembling, that some disappointments carved deep lines in your spirit, and yet, despite every fracture, you open yourself to His healing presence, trusting that nothing you reveal will be met with judgment, only mercy. And with that surrendered heart, You now move into the holy moment of breaking the chains of lies and rejection. Every word spoken against you, every label placed on you, every whisper of unworthiness the enemy tried to plant in your mind. Here, in the presence of the Almighty, you renounce every lie that said you were not enough, not chosen, not worthy of love, not destined for greatness. You reject the spirit of rejection, you silence the voice of shame, and in its place, you boldly receive your divine identity as someone chosen, loved, honored, and treasured by God Himself. Now your heart is positioned for healing and restoration, a restoration woven with the same divine threads that rewrote the stories of Job, Joseph, and Sarah. Like Job, may every loss in your life be restored in double portion, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, relationally. Like Joseph, may every pit, every betrayal, and every delay be transformed into elevation, honor, and purpose beyond imagination. And like Sarah, may joy visit your life in the very areas where you once felt barren, forgotten, or mocked. God is still the God who restores laughter, hope, and impossible promises. And as you breathe in His healing presence, you are reminded that strength was forged in the waiting, because waiting was never passive, waiting was warfare. Every day you chose faith over fear was a victory. Every silent prayer was a seed planted in the unseen. Every tear watered the ground of your future. You did not wait in vain. You waited with purpose, and heaven took notice. Now, with a heart strengthened by endurance, you open yourself to receiving divine love, not the limited, fragile love of this world, but the covenant love that flows straight from the heart of the Father, a love that does not waver, a love that does not abandon, a love that does not diminish with time. As this love fills you, it becomes your testimony to God's goodness. You begin to see that every chapter, even the painful ones, was stitched with divine intention. And from that place of being fully loved, you step into forgiveness and freedom, releasing those who hurt you, not because they deserved it, but because your heart deserves peace. You let the bitterness go. You release the offense. You allow the chains of old wounds to fall off your spirit. You choose freedom so you can walk light, walk whole, and walk ready for everything God is ushering into your life. With your spirit cleansed and your heart renewed, you rise in boldness for the next chapter, remembering Proverbs 28:1. The righteous are bold as a lion. You step forward, not timid, not unsure, not weighed down by yesterday, but roaring with faith, courage, and heavenly authority. You walk as someone who knows heaven is backing every step. And now comes the sealing of this prayer, where you declare victory over your life. Not future victory, but present victory. You speak revival over every place that felt ruined. You speak life over every dream that felt buried. You speak fulfillment over every promise that felt delayed. You declare that the story is shifting now, that what God has spoken is unfolding, that nothing can stop what heaven has ordained. And with a heart full of faith, courage, and expectation, you seal it all with one final word, Amen. As you stand at the end of this message, you step into a moment of quiet but powerful affirmation of victory, remembering that even now, even in this very breath, God is still writing your story. Nothing is finished, nothing is wasted, and nothing is beyond His ability to transform. What felt like an ending was only a turning page. What looked like defeat was merely a setup for a greater unveiling. With God as the author, the final chapter is never tragedy, never abandonment, never loss. The ending is always victory, because He does not write unfinished stories, and He does not promise without fulfilling. With this truth anchored deeply in your heart, you rise into a bold declaration of faith, speaking words that align heaven with earth. I receive God's promises over my life, not passively, not timidly, but with the authority of someone who knows they are chosen, protected, and destined for more. You declare it aloud, because faith requires participation. You declare it because you are partnering with God's script for your life. You declare it because every promise he whispered in your spirit is now awakening, accelerating, and aligning. You declare it because your life is shifting, not someday, not eventually, but now. The old lies are falling off, the old wounds are healing, the old delays are breaking, the old fears are dissolving in the presence of his truth, and with every word of faith you speak, heaven moves on your behalf. Now, as your spirit strengthens and your vision sharpens, the path ahead begins to unfold with clarity and peace. This is where you receive the invitation to continue the journey, because your story does not end with this message, it begins here. There are deeper revelations waiting for you, greater encouragement prepared for you, and more prophetic guidance aligned for your next steps. God is leading you forward, and staying connected ensures you continue to grow, rise, and walk empowered in every season. So, you are encouraged to remain close to the message, to keep feeding your spirit, and to stay connected to the stream that pours life into you. When you subscribe, follow, or return for more teachings, you are not simply joining another platform, you are aligning yourself with a flow of revelation designed to strengthen your walk, build your faith, and prepare you for the blessings ahead. Because your journey requires nourishment, your calling requires consistency, and your destiny requires guidance. You don't walk this path alone. Heaven walks with you, and spiritual voices are sent to confirm, uplift, and equip what God is already doing inside you. So, let this be your moment of commitment, a sacred turning point, a spiritual decision to continue forward with intentionality. As you stay connected, more messages will meet you at the exact moment you need them. More guidance will illuminate your next step. More encouragement will push you when you feel weary. More revelation will confirm what God is whispering in your heart, because the journey isn't over, it's unfolding. And as you move ahead, you walk with a new identity, a renewed spirit, and a deeper awareness of who you truly are in God. You walk as someone marked by purpose. You walk as someone chosen for greatness. You walk as someone whose story is drenched in favor and divine orchestration. So, lift your head, align your heart, and declare once more, I receive God's promises over my life. Walk forward in faith. Walk forward in strength. Walk forward knowing that what's coming is far greater than what has been. This is not the end. This is your beginning. And the God who started your story will finish it in glory.